Today on Passion for Food, we're making perhaps one of the greatest chicken dishes of all time, this chicken Paprikash with easy homemade Spaetzle. This paprika-infused Hungarian classic is a great way to spice up your chicken, and that homemade Spaetzle really makes things a little more Spaetzle. And the best part is, it's all surprisingly easy to make. So let's go ahead and flock on over here to our chicken. I'm going to take the traditional approach today and cut up my own chicken, but my second choice here would be skin-on, bone-in chicken thighs. I guess you could go boneless, skinless, if you want to make me cry. And we'll give our knife a quick honing. I would hate to get any cutting remarks about my knife being dull. And if you think cutting up your own chicken will be difficult, well, it isn't, and it's a great way to save a little money in the grocery store. I find it's easiest just to wing it at first, and you can kind of feel where those joints are, and you just want to cut right along there. You'll be surprised how easily that whole wing just comes right off for you. Now, normally chicken wings are some of my favorite parts of the chicken, but it's not going to work for this dish, so I'm actually going to save that and use it for stock later. And just the same deal on the other side. You want to kind of twist the wing away from the chicken. That will kind of put pressure on the joint. So as you're cutting it, it makes it really easy to get in there and just take the whole wing right off. There's almost no way to foul that up. And it's basically the same with the legs and thighs. You just want to feel around where those joints are, and we can start slicing and putting a little bit of pressure on that thigh joint so we can easily slice that all off in one piece. Now that we have a leg up on the situation, we can go ahead and repeat the same on the other side. Now, we could leave these big pieces whole if we wanted, but me and my wife really prefer the legs and thighs separate, so I'm going to go ahead and cut these apart. The easiest way I've found to do that is to squeeze them together in your hand, and you can actually feel where the joint is right there, and we can just kind of cut down there like this. Now, that does involve the dreaded cutting down directly towards your hand bit, which I don't like, so maybe if someone knows a better way to do that, definitely let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, just be crazy careful, and you can cut apart your pieces pretty easily that way. You might notice our Inspector General Sir Claudius pausing for a moment here to make sure everything's up to scruff. And now it's time to tackle our breasts, which is always fun. You can kind of feel where that chest bone is in the middle, and you just want to fillet these right off. There's really nothing special or complicated about this part. Just kind of cut along the ribs, and you can just take your whole chicken breast right off like that. Repeat that on the other side, and there we have our whole chicken cut up. Now, not only did that only take a couple of minutes, but we have this great chicken carcass that I'm going to use to make stock and make some tomato bisque tomorrow. Check out the link in the top right for that video. But now that we have our chicken, we're going to give these a nice sear in a large Dutch oven or other pot. I've got around 3 tablespoons of canola oil in here. Don't stress out too much about the amount of oil you use because we will be draining that. Now, in theory, you could skip this step, but I'm very sincere when I say you shouldn't. That browning reaction we call the Maillard reaction really adds a ton of flavor to the dish. And after steering for about 5 minutes, we're ready to flip, and you can really see that beautiful brown color on that chicken. That's exactly what we're looking for here. It really is no paltry matter just how much flavor that's going to add to our final chicken Paprikash. After another 3 minutes or so, the other side is also nicely seared. Usually the second side sears a little faster than the first side, so we'll just go ahead and pull all of our chicken off of here. And we want to go ahead and drain off all but about a tablespoon of this oil. Now, be careful, that's super hot. There you can see I left a little bit in there. And now on to our aromatics. You either want 2 regular onions or 1 freakishly big onion like this one. It's striking how much flavor these add. Next up, I have 1 large red pepper, aka capsaicin. Now, not all chicken Paprikash has peppers, but I think it's a nice addition. So we'll just chop that right in here. And I just can't help myself. I'm going to add about 4 cloves of crushed garlic. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add about a tablespoon or so of salt and fresh cracked black pepper to taste. And we just want to saute these for a couple of minutes until they just start to turn a little bit translucent and you can really smell that garlic. Be sure and scrape around and get all of those little brown bits, and then we can go ahead and just slide our chicken straight back in here, along with any accumulated juices. We'll just get those spread out a little bit, and then we want to add just enough hot water to come right up to the top of these. You don't want to completely cover the skin. That'll kind of ruin the texture. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hey, Graham, it's chicken paprikash. Well, here's the paprika. Now, the reason I didn't add that earlier is it burns really easily, and I don't think it benefits at all from being seared along with the onions and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and add it right at this stage. So we'll just mix our 1/4 cup of paprika in here, and then we just want to cover this and let it simmer for 1 hour. I was going to try and tell a hot joke here, but I didn't want you to get too steamed. Anyway, once we defog the situation, it's important not to forget the most important step, and that is to taste for seasoning. But that was perfect, so it's time to add our final 2 ingredients, about 1 cup of sour cream and 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch. Now, most chicken paprikash recipes I've found used flour mixed with the sour cream, but I feel like cornstarch has less flavor and more thickening power, so I decided to go that direction. But we can't just dump that straight in there, or we risk shocking the sour cream, and we could actually wind up with it separating in our sauce, and nobody likes a separated sauce. And I thought I would be smart and save dishes by using this same spoon to temper the sour cream, but that wasn't a good idea. It took so long to do that way, I almost lost my temper. But once our sour cream has warmed up enough, we can go ahead and dump it into the pot and just get that mixed into our sauce. Once that comes back up to temperature, it should thicken up beautifully for us. Now, at this point, our paprikash is ready to serve, and you could easily serve this over rice, but I wanted to make things a little special with some Spaetzle. So I'm going to go ahead and put a lid on this and just keep it warm while we prepare our easy homemade Spaetzle. Spaetzle, or Spaetzle, the way I'm probably supposed to be pronouncing it, is a kind of German egg-based pasta. And to get us started here, we have about 2 cups of all-purpose flour, along with about 1 teaspoon or so of salt. And our dark horse secret ingredient here is a little bit of nutmeg. You want like a vanishingly small amount of this. This should just add a little note in the background that make people go, And to that, we're going to add 4 whole eggs. Yeah, I wasn't yoking around when I said this was an egg-based pasta. So we're just going to bust those right in the yolk and get mixing here. Now, these eggs are not going to add enough liquid on their own, so we are going to have to add some milk to this. But I'm not even going to attempt to tell you how much milk, because it's going to vary based on the size of your eggs. So you want to add about 1 tablespoon or 2 of milk at a time and just keep mixing, because we really want to get the texture of this right. Too runny and our Spaetzle are going to be mushy, and nobody likes mushy Spaetzle. So we'll keep mixing until we achieve this texture. You can see it's a little bit gooey, it's a little bit stringy. You see how it runs off the spatula, but oh so slowly. That's exactly what we're looking for. And other than this spatula, the only other tool we need for this is one of these graters. And you want to use the, non-gratey side. You don't want to grate your spatula. That's no fun. And this is why that texture was so important. See, the key here is we need to be able to lay our Spaetzle dough on the grater without it just running right through on its own. Because what we want to do is actually push that through here with the spatula. You see how that's coming through? That's what gives us that characteristic little sparrow shape that gives Spaetzle its name. So we're just going to repeat that procedure into a large pot of boiling water with all of our Spaetzle dough. Now learn from my mistakes and use the largest pot of water you can. This one wound up being a little too small, but that's okay, it still worked. Give those a quick little stir just to make sure they're not sticking together. And the general rule of thumb, just like any fresh pasta, is once this comes back up to a full boil, these are fully cooked. So let's go ahead and pull our Spaetzle off the heat and drain them. Now you could go ahead and serve those, but I am going to toss them with about 1.5 tablespoons of butter just to mirror the traditional preparation. Plus, it helps a lot if you need to let these sit around for a couple of minutes. It'll prevent them from sticking together. But mine didn't have to wait around long, so let's go ahead and serve up some of this beautiful chicken paprikash on our easy homemade Spaetzle. I definitely think this chicken paprikash is one of the greatest chicken meals of all time. And best of all, it's super easy to make, so I highly recommend this dish. In fact, I guess you could say I'm getting hungry just looking at it. I really hope you've enjoyed today's episode of Passion for Food. If you have, give me a thumbs up below and don't forget to subscribe and hit that little bell so you don't miss our future videos. And check out one of our other great recipes playing on the screen now. This has been Graham with Passion for Food.